have made their report ready and they would like to submit the report to us. I think without wasting time, we are aware the Minister of Finance will be with us here at midday for macro issues and other policy issues. So we quickly received the report of Tourism, Trade and Industry. Chair, unless there is any procedural issue, we'll go straight to receive the report. Proceed. Accepted. Hope everybody has got a copy. Honorable Kapoza, do you have a copy of the report? Okay.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Chair. The copies are available. Enough copies are available, Mr. Chair.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Chair. As you have mentioned in your opening remarks, this is a report of the Committee on Tourism, Trade and Industry on the National Budget Framework paper for financial year 2020-2021 stroke 22 to financial year 2025 stroke 2026. Mr. Chair, the first page is about the list of abbreviations, and I think I don't think we shall go through that one.
Which one?
List of abbreviations. First page is about the list of abbreviations.
Okay, you can jump for that.
Then also the introduction, Mr. Chair.
To summarize, you
Yes.
20 minutes.
Okay. So the other one is about the introduction. Then we can go to 2.0. That is the background, Mr. Chair. As you are aware, 2.1 shift from the sectoral to program-based budgeting, Third National Development Plan, NDD 3 2020-21, stroke 2024-25. Mr. Chair.
Go straight 2.3.
2.3. Mr. Chair, when we go to 2.3, we are talking about the relevant programs to the trade and tourism sectors. Agro-industrialization program. This program aims at increasing commercialization and the competitiveness of the agricultural production and agro-processing. Key expected results include, Mr. Chair, increased export value of selected agricultural commodities, increasing the agricultural sector growth rate, increasing the labor productivity in the agro-industrial value chain, creating jobs in the agro-industry and increasing the production of households that are food secure. Trade and industry is linked to this program through Uganda Development Corporation and the Uganda Warehouse Receipt Systems Authority. Tourism Development Program. This program aims at increasing Uganda's attractiveness as a preferred tourism destination. Key expected results include sustainably increasing tourism arrivals and revenues, as well as employment in tourism sector. The Ministry of Tourism, Wildlife and Antiquities is the lead agency for the Tourism Development Program. The Manufacturing Program. The program aims at increasing the product range and scale for import substitution and improved terms of trade. Key expected results include increased share of manufactured exports in total exports, growth in the industrial sector's contribution to GDP, and increased share of labor force employed in the industrial sector. The Ministry of Trade, Industry and Cooperatives is the lead minister for implementation of this program. Mr. Chair, then in the private sector development. The private sector development program is the special purpose vehicle towards income and growth in the redistribution and equitable and inclusive regional growth. Support to the private sector, particularly the local SMEs, will go a long way towards developing capacity to drive the industrialization effort, increase exports, create jobs, and increase local content. The program is comprised of Ministry of Finance, Uganda Investment Authority, Uganda Registration Services Bureau, Uganda Revenue Authority, Uganda National Bureau of Standards, and the Ministry of Trade, industry specifically, and industry specifically SMEs, and MTAC. It is important to note that the above programs are a reflection of some of the key development strategies of NTB3, like export promotion, promotion of local manufacturing, and harnessing tourism potential. Mr. Chair, the methodology used here, the document reviews. While considering the National Budget Framework Paper for financial year 2020-21/22 to 2020-25/26, the committee reviewed and made reference to the following documents.
Go straight to 4.
I go straight to 4, Mr. Chair, because of your time limitation.
Yeah.
Thank you. One page ID.
I'll skip 4.0.
Yeah, 4.0. Thank you, Mr. Chair, for your guidance. 4.0 is about the overview of the annual budget performance for financial year 2019/20. Performance of the trade and the industrial sector. Budget execution for financial year 2019/20 was based on sectors. This section seeks to review performance of the trade and the industrial sector. For financial performance, this is the table 1 showing the financial performance of the trade and the industrial sector, financial 2019/2020. As we see the table there. The source, of course, is Ministry of Finance Annual Budget Performance Report, financial year 2019-2020. From the table above, Mr. Chair, at aggregate level, the approved budget for the trade and the industrial sector, financial year 2019/20 amounted to Uganda shillings 212,752 billion, of which Uganda shillings 173,618 billion was released by the end of June 2020.
171.
173, not 171. 173.
That table has 171.996.
I don't know why here again. I think this is a typing error. This could be a typing error, Mr. Chair. Yeah, because here, I think we should correct it to 171. 171, sorry, Mr. Chair. I think that's a typing error. Was released by end of June 2020, and the Uganda shillings 168.545 billion was spent, representing 81.6% budget release. 79.2.
Yeah, you have 166. You have to check the coordinate to those figures.
Surely.
The narration and the table
Surely, Mr. Chair.
need to be coordinated. You check which is right.
Okay.
Okay.
But the one on the table, I think, is the correct one. Yeah, Billion was sent. Representing 79.2% budget spent under
Go to observation.
observation. Thank you.
Performance.
Observation and performance, Mr. Chair. The committee observed that the approved budget for external financing to regional integration implementation project, that is RIIP, amounted to shillings 17.027 billion, out of which shillings 4.082 billion was released, while shillings 3.843 billion was actually spent. The budget release performance of 24% was registered, while 22% of the budget was spent. The committee was informed that the RIIP budget was meant to facilitate the construction of the border export zones and was affected by delays in the procurement approval. While the Minister of Finance had approved, COMESA had not yet approved by the close of the financial year 2019/20. Hence, construction could not commence. Construction started in August 2020, and all the 4 borders, that is Katuna, Ruakaka, Oraba, and the Busia border export zones, are at roofing stage. That is the performance of the international and the regional trade. Table 2 actually is a reflection of how the money was spent. Then we go to international trade. On the international market, Uganda's trade deficit procedure.
Yes. I was of the view that that's the preamble that we can all look at it. Why couldn't we straight away go to 4.5 to look at observations and the recommendations of the committee to this committee of budget?
Won't we miss some background to... Okay, yes.
We need that international trade is just quite important.
We need that background.
We need that background because there is a conflict now within the East African region. Whereas Uganda want to export to Kenya, then Tanzania say no, and you have a common market. Bilateral agreements. What it brings all this to help us find out is this problem.
Okay, let him be first in the background. He touches what is very... Yeah, we shall be jumping what... We'll say other things which don't matter.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. On the international market, Uganda's trade and trade deficit widened to US dollars 3,398 million in financial year 2019-20, from US dollar 3,223 million in financial year 2018-19, because the value of exports of goods and services reduced at a faster rate than the imports, as shown in the table 2. Exports of both goods and services declined by 13% during the year, specifically non-coffee exports, as well as services like travel and transport. This was due to COVID-19 pandemic containment measures, which caused disruptions in the entire supply chain, domestically and internationally. Trade with East African partner states. Uganda traded at a deficit of US dollars 217 million with the East African community partner states in financial year 2019-20, after registering export receipts was US dollars 1,050 million and imports was US dollars 1,267 million, as reflected on table 2. Uganda registered trade surpluses with all East African community member states in the last 4 financial years. However, in financial 2019-20, trade deficits were registered with Kenya and Tanzania at US dollars 214 million and US dollar 314 million respectively. Exports to Kenya and Rwanda declined due to non-tariff barriers and border closures respectively. Physical performance. Mr. Chair, the sector registered the following key outputs in the financial year 2019-20. Participated in the tripartite negotiations, East African Community, COMESA, and the SADC, Africa Continental Free Trade Area, World Trade Organization agreements revived, and obligations for notifications were prepared and submitted. Is installed a system to collect information on certification of cross-border traders served by the border officials, provided technical advice for construction of Mutukula regional market. A total of 50 medium, small, and medium-scale enterprises in Masaka, Kalungu, and Chotera districts provided technical support on good manufacturing practices. Soroti Fruit Factory procured 1,939 tons of fresh mangoes and 102,974 tons of fresh oranges. The government of Uganda acquired an additional 8% Uganda shillings, that is worth of 15 Uganda shillings worth 15 billion 483 million 852,800 shareholding in Atiak Sugar Factory, and the current government of Uganda shareholding stands at 40% with a total investment of Uganda shillings 8.3 billion. UDC restored the Mabale Tea Growers Factory into business, and the factory is now operational and processed a total of 307,600 kilograms of green leaf, resulting into 71,271 kilograms of made tea, which is normally referred to as black tea. Currently, UDC holds 49% shares in the Mabale Tea Factory.
So members, I think we can be interfering with the presenter where you have an issue.
Yes.
You raise it and they clarify it then and then as we move.
But how? Before we go to see, they are just letting the document now.
Yeah, we'll be following. We'll be following as it presents. If you have an
So
issue.
you want us to raise as they present?
Pardon?
As they present, we raise issues.
Yeah, we can be raising issues so that we have it interactive page by page. By the time it finishes, we close. Will it not save us
Yeah, maybe
time?
subject by subject, but page by page.
Okay, what subject?
Subject by subject.
Okay,
Okay, thank you.
okay.
Yeah.
So you can raise if you have one that what you have already presented.
Chair, for me, on observation, that is page 10.
Yeah.
The committee whether what is stated in this second paragraph, the board export zones was affected by delays in the procurement approvals. Did you visit physically to verify? Because sometimes they give a PowerPoint report when you read what is happening on the ground is not there. Did you visit and find out that this, they started?
Mr. Chair, we visited at least the Mutukula border. We visited the Mutukula border, and we also got the response in writing, but we physically visited the Mutukula border.
One border.
One border.
But what about what is happening in Kabale? Because when they cross, because if we say Katuna, Wakaka, Oraba, Busia, what is happening there? It's through you, Chair. The takeoff is not there.
Yeah.
Really, what happens with the amount we appropriated and what is happening? This is why I pose that question. But did you physically visit? If you visited one, it does not mean that all of them have taken off. Because Kabale, there has been a disturbance in Katuna. Ruakaka, there was no function there. So what happened to the money we appropriated?
Yeah, because the responses in writing, but like you know this period we have also been having limited movements, you know that one. All of us had a similar, but I know that other committees like Foreign Affairs visited some of the borders, but we got the responses. Like I said, we sampled the Mutukula, which is also a one-stop border post, and we could see what was happening. So we had a general reflection.
Satisfied there is a progress.
The second one,
Yes.
on trade with the East African partner states. I don't know whether you interacted with the Minister of East African Community. What was the conflict which is happening about our exports in the region where we have bilateral agreements? What happened? Where
Where are we down?
Where are we down
The deficit.
with the deficit?
Yeah, Mr. Chair, through you, Mr. Chair, the committee, I think, did not interact with the Minister of East African Community, although we have been raising those concerns with the Minister of Trade and the Minister in general, whom we have been interacting frequently. but we have strong recommendations towards
So
that in our
what
report.
happened, if you can give us a rough idea, why did we come down?
Yeah.
Why deficit? What was?
The non-tariff barriers, basically the closure of borders like the Katuna border.
Yes, that
Yeah.
one. But
Then
there is a
also-
deficit mainly for Rwanda and for Kenya and Tanzania. Kenya
Yeah,
and Tanzania never closed the borders.
but they restricted some of our goods going to their countries. You remember, like
Yeah.
Kenya reducing the tonnage for meal, poultry products,
But
and also sugar.
maybe
Yes.
share for some information. I'm mainly concerned.
Yes.
Today we are under the East African community.
Yeah.
And the heads of states sit and have meetings, and we have representatives from those summits.
Yeah.
And there are some conflicts which arose because Uganda is exporting much in certain countries, and they put up tariff barriers. After time of 1 month, business people have exported some goods there, then they stop them at the border.
Yeah.
And then when you look at the trade deficit now, the trade balance, look at 2015-16, 16-17, 17-18, you look at 18-19 as your table states, and 20. What arose as a result of this negative? Are we going to improve better, or we are going to go to the worst position now? Because Kenya now, according to the information I have, they had agreed to import sugar from here.
Yes.
But now they have decided and reduced the time. They are getting it from Brazil. But I thought we could be having the first priority. Our ministers could have negotiated to help our business community. This question comes with what you've stated in page on Atiak. The government of Uganda acquired additional 8% shareholding in Atiak Sugar Factory.
Yes.
Did you look at the audit report? Where are we going to export all this sugar?
Kenya wants the sugar.
But they are saying they are reducing the tonnage to import from other countries.
Yes, but there is
So these are sort of
information
things.
on Atiak.
Yeah.
Atiak, Kenya wants sugar, but Atiak factory is almost in idle capacity because they don't have the sugar cane. So they are supposed to, government is supposed to have helped them expand, open their fields. But now, the way the money is given to them is like of a child playing about with
Yeah.
a crying baby.
Maybe the
So-
question, before my brother comes in, the question is that before you come in, my brother, before you come in, the government to invest in the Audit Act of 2008 allowed the Auditor General to audit where we have a controlling amount of money invested there.
No.
Was it worth the investment there?
We amended it further, where government has any interest, not just a control. It's no longer controlling.
Any interest?
Yeah.
This is what I'm talking about now. If it was, if the auditing board could qualify or disqualify the amount of money the shareholder should have, was it worth the investing in there? Because the chair, according to the chair's submission, he just gave the money, but the auditing board could have given, was it worth to invest in
Honorable,
there?
you call on the clarification.
Yeah, when we're going to Atiak, when we're starting to invest in Atiak, we knew, given the agreements we had with Kenya, maybe East African partner states, there was a dire need for sugar. So we could get a lot of revenue by making more sugar here, which we have the capacity, of course, advantaged, and sell it to Kenya. But along the way, things started falling. What is the position now? Because we are still investing in producing sugar, basing on the old demand, the old agreements, but things are shifting now. Is it worth still pumping money to Atiak when actually we are going to produce sugar, which will definitely be sold nowhere? Is it worth?
Remember,
Chair.
the position as for now is We don't have the sugar. You see, that Atiak is supposed to produce on a daily basis some, but now the factory does production once in a week because of lack of sugar cane. They need to open around 200 acres every day in order to be able to supply the sugar cane to the factory, and the factory produces. Now Kenya was waiting for the sugar, but we don't have the sugar. Now the investment they need for Atiaka to fully operationalize and run the factory and export sugar is about 98 billion. You see, they will complain, but the facts are different. Yes, Honorable Elijah.
I think the problem is bigger than just that. One, why did Kenya stop or block Uganda from exporting sugar? I think we need to have also picked from Kenya what was the reason, and which seems to be holding some water. The companies in Uganda were importing sugar from South America, and then they would repack it and send to Kenya. That was the beginning of the problem. And yet back home there was excess of sugar. They didn't want to buy from Soga, and then the people from Soga got stuck with the sugar cane because Kenya also stopped them from selling there. But also some companies were trying to block them. That's why you saw you on your route there were trucks to help Atiak to produce now the sugar. The sugar was being taken from Soga to Atiak to help attack the production the other side. But again, the sugar companies in Busoga, you saw the fights which were there over the law. I think of the zoning have sabotaged. so even that sugar which was now going to Atiak cannot go because we would see trucks crossing, so not going to Atiak. And Atiak still was going to have a bigger problem because I saw during the campaign, either maliciously or what, they set fire. The sugar cane which the Atiak had grown, I think 80-90% got burnt. Someone set fire, which must have been a malicious thing. And for me, I think I suspect this is a trade rivalry, to fail the other side. So I think those are the issues. I think the committee should, maybe because it was of COVID, you need to get Kenya, understand them, get to the sugar factories, get to Busoga, get to Atiak, understand what is the problem. Because they seem to be involving these companies importing from South America, then repackaging and sending, which Kenya does not support. Others, the issue of zoning being affected, business rivalries, sabotaging other companies. But when we come to the figures here, we need to be helped here. I think that's why I was sharing with people. Is this, the government of Uganda acquired an additional 8%, which you are saying is equivalent to 15 billion shareholding in Atiak Sugar Factory. And the current government shareholding stands at 40%. With a total investment of 80.3 billion. Is this the Ugandans' contribution to Atiak, or is the total investment of Atiak? What's this 80.3 billion? Because when you try to calculate this, if this is 15, if this is 15, it's 8%. So I seem not to be, the figure seemed not to me. So I need that clarification.
What is the total investment? Ours plus what Atiak itself has given. Atiak factory, Atiak industry.
Honorable colleagues, there are things we need to balance here. There is our shareholding, but there is government supporting outgrowers. Supporting outgrowers so that they sell the sugar cane to Atiak. So through NADS, not OWC, but NADS. This time don't go to that monster. Through NADS. Now, they are supposed to support these outgrowers, open the bushes, and plant the sugar. After they are supported to plant, as they train them on management of the fields, Then later on, they start being able to sell the sugar cane to the factory. So that support is different from the shareholding.
Yes.
Yeah, because it's to try to create employment for our wananchi, to make their land productive. Because already the factory itself employs around 2,000 people. Then now, if all these outgrowers can be supported to open the fields, so the money to open the fields and also mechanize the factory, because like Honorable Elijah says, fire burnt. When the fire burns sugar cane, that sugar cane, the cane is still having its value for about 1 week.
If it's mature, but if
it's mature now. But you need also to harvest it, a mechanized system to harvest. But if you're harvesting, because the same time they burnt, they needed manual labor to come and harvest the sugar cane. They already blockage in Arua. These people went very far, even to block the Arua side. They tried the other side to pick workers. There was a blockage. They are not aligned. You are taking away our waters and so on. So the sugar cane which was burnt, which was mature, all went to waste. But if they were mechanized, they would have harvested very fast and produced the sugar. So there is need for serious investment to have the concept to move.
Additional information.
Yes.
Whereas government really support farmers through that, we should also understand that the land in which the sugar is grown belongs to us.
It belongs to the owners.
It belongs to the owners.
Yeah.
So they are supported right now to grow the sugar.
Yeah.
When they pick when they are able themselves, they continue growing the sugar cane and selling to Atiak.
Yeah. Yes, Honorable Mutebi, you are also welcome. I'm not seeing you. Then I move now. Okay.
Chair, we may examine all these issues and they may be valid, but the biggest problem that we have is that government has to get back to the table with regard to the sugar exports. Because at the moment, the spirit within the region is not favoring us at all. I interfaced with the Sugar Corporation of Uganda, Lugazi, after the current lift of the ban on sugar exports. But what I found out is that things are still tricky. They cannot even get into the market. In Kenya, even the agencies that they are talking about, that they have opened up for them to work with, seem not to be existent. They are telling them deal with so and so to get sugar out of Uganda. But when they look around for those agencies, they are nowhere to be seen. So it seems there is some game around, some hide and seek, which has to be examined by government. We may even produce that sugar from Atiak and we get into a deeper problem of having a lot of sugar that we cannot get out into the market. So I think as a recommendation, government has to revisit these negotiations and agreements to harmonize so that in a good spirit our goods can get into the East African market. Otherwise, at the moment, that is what is happening.
Yeah. Supplementary information, Chair. I'm in dairy farming. What is happening between Kenya and Uganda? When we get a surplus, those people hesitate to take our products. When we are negative, they get interested. What happens? So, I want to supplement what we need to do. The spirit of the heads of state in these other regions is as if when there is a bumper harvest, then they take a low attitude to us, and which really does affect our people in production. Because if we have a same spirit, I think we couldn't face. It's not sugar alone, even dairy, you saw it. Some of us were pouring water, pouring milk. So the Minister of Trade and our Foreign Minister and EAC should get interested. Why all this happening and we have all this conflict? The moment we come into bumper harvest, these guys take a low attitude. And despite of that, Mr. Chair, before I finish this point of Atiaka Sugar, I think it's better you as a committee to request the Minister of Trade to find out by the time you went into investment, what was the portfolio? What was the portfolio of that company? Because the audited report could show you that really, are we worth investing there? Are we going to have, even if we are performing a public-private partnership, as the chairman has said, you look at the audited report of that portfolio of that company. It's not a matter of coming here and say, I want to invest in with partner, when your portfolio also is poor. I might lose my investment. So it's quite important that the committee goes back to the Minister of Trade and look at that report.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I've heard what they said. It seems there is no goodwill from other sister countries. Now, if we are being faced with such a situation, several times I've heard the President say that we have to add value to sugar, to milk, so that we produce industrial raw materials. For example, in sugar, why don't we advance to make sugar into industrial sugar so that we can supply the pharmaceutical industries? The same applies to milk. Even milk, if the Ministry of Industry and Trade can seriously look into alternative ways of diversifying the products and add more value, so that even for milk we produce other products that can actually go into pharmaceutical industries. Maybe that can go a long way to save us from this situation, because it has been going on and on and on. This is not a new story, and I don't see the spirit of these countries cooperating as per the existing agreements. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Yes. I think what Kama just said should be an alternative the sector should be looking at as this kind of impasse is progressing, rather than continuing to tell us that this is happening when in reality things are still at the edge. So this should be an alternative, especially in the budget cycle, that we should be pursuing that. As we are producing sugar from Atiako, from wherever, how can we have this sugar generate something better? So this is one of the things as a committee you should be advising us as budget committee to invest money in this budget financial year. Number two, Chair, I also wanted in the same vein, we've always invested money elsewhere. We've had stories of investing money in, I don't know whether Mnyonyo or whatever, and we don't see share certificates. And we don't really see the physical ownership of them. When we're being told 15 billion contributing, making like 8% of the total investment was done last year, do we have that evidence to show that Uganda now owns 40% of the shares in a Tiak factory? Or we are just remaining in paper that we have 40% in a Tiak factory. At a certain time, when we look for the 40%, we fail to get the documentation. And we ask, where did you get that information? Do we have the evidence that we own that amount of what? Shareholding?
Thank you.
And you should quickly also tell us an interest. Me and the chairman and maybe a few others who come from that area. Last year you were able to procure I think about 2,000 tons of fresh mangoes and 102,000, just 2,000 tons only of fresh mangoes and 103,000 of oranges. Of course we bought more oranges than mangoes. And we know that there are more oranges in Tesa than mangoes. Can we know from you what of this was the total, how much of this compared to the total production of the area, so that we could know how the factory has actually impacted and benefited the people of Teso. How much is 102,000, 103,000 tons of oranges to the total production of oranges in Teso? And how much is 2,000 tons of mango to the total production that year in Teso?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. And I also thank the honorable members for the observations. It is good that the observations actually reflect that they have a lot of knowledge about those issues of Atiak and also the fruit factory. Mr. Chair, first of all, I would like to submit that the last question, the fruit factory in Seroti is actually does not have the capacity to absorb all the oranges in Teso. That percentage is very low. Because we have visited the factory and we have interacted with the farmers, we have interacted with the management, and we got submissions from all stakeholders, and the production line is really has a very low capacity. So it is true that the factory is not yet, the original problem was capital, government invested in to capitalize it, but all the same, the production line has a very low capacity compared to the production in the region. So that one, we agree that the factory there is under producing and the capacity to take in the fruits is low. Secondly, Mr. Chair, you remember that the original concept was that the government was always bailing out companies like Atiak. But through the efforts of Parliament representing the people's interests and other stakeholders, we insisted that instead of bailing out companies, government would instead buy shares, so that you just don't go on dumping money to every company. So the money we are talking about as a capital investment from government was what should have been a bailout. Because like for example in Atiak, that money was used to complete the putting up the machinery. Then also NADS came in through their own way. That one is now not part of the shares. They helped the outgrowers to provide seed, open the fields, make the roads and all these other things. So actually the share capital on the Ugandan government side is actually completing the machinery, so the installation.
You confirm 40% shareholding?
Yes, we have also ascertained that their share certificates are there. The only challenge there we found the last time we went there, we would also as a committee interact with the other stakeholders.
Yeah.
Like we had the people from NADS, they were complaining about the management. I think the management needs to be strengthened in such a way that UDC should participate more in the management affairs, because like that banning of sugarcane is coming out of bad public relations with the community and the management. The management is almost being run by the family rather than being run like a business, so that I think we should strengthen the participation of the government side in management, so that they can run it professionally.
So what positions is government holding now in the management of Atiak?
Chair, you have 40% and the company has 60%.
Yes.
You know what happened in a year ago. Now we had a less percentage of shareholding. And in management, when you have less share of holding,
The other one has more.
the more the owner of the company has more. But the most important thing is, as I said before, that before we invested, we could have known the portfolio, the management issues, they know how these things are going to be. Because the big company is going to invest, there are certain things you have as a principle required before you invest in that.
When I own 40%, I can't contribute to the management.
Of course, it's within the range, because this is like a PPP.
Yeah.
It's like a public-private partnership.
Yes.
Your interest and their interest. In those terms of negotiations, they are highlighted that because of my money I have interest here, the management I contribute a certain percentage so that my interest, which I have invested in here, is protected. That's why you put a legal framework of the PPP. And if the legal framework is there, those principles within those arguments, how they are made, they are there, the government must follow that. So that it helps, so that the 40, we can't put 40%. If we say that the management is poor, suppose the company corruption, what happens? This is the same spirit where Goa, we invested a lot of money, and Canada took over, and even the money, the year there, it was lost. We were declaring losses every day, and we lost the money.
So, Mr. Chair, thank you, Mr. Chair. There were memorandums of understanding in such a way that the 40% of government should also be represented in the same percentage as far as management board is concerned. Then also, like the director of finance has to be appointed by UDC as an overseer of organization of government, so that they take care of the government interests. So I think what we should be urging on now is about compliance, to comply with those agreements.
Chairman,
Yes.
I think there is need at one time, maybe the time now, for us to call on finance to answer some of the things and UDC.
Yes.
And UDC. Because we should have the issue of the
Yeah,
certificates.
tomorrow,
Yes.
Clark will call you this tomorrow.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
What was the certificates of all the share processing and these other details about the management, what was the agreement, the finance.
And how can they improve the money?
Yeah, because that project is a good project. It was meant to develop and help the people get employment, raise the incomes of the people of the north.
Yeah.
So we shouldn't lose it. Lose it.
Okay. Proceed, Chairman, manufacturing program.
Yes. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
4.2.
4.2. Manufacturing is critical in building a resilient, integrated, independent, and self-sufficient economy.
Yes.
Yes?
You know, we concentrated on Jack and Forward and Sorority. There is also this issue of the cooperative society. That they wanted 100 cooperatives to enhance compliance.
Yes.
You know, there's been the issue about that the Ministry of Finance withheld the payment, the money we provided, which was meant for Bugisu Cooperative, Teso Cooperative Union. What is the problem? Did you try to find out?
Mr. Chair, last financial year, we recommended some money to be used to compensate those cooperatives. But this very committee reallocated it for other things. You remember last financial year we recommended?
Not all.
Not all.
Not all.
Yes.
10 billion was retained in the budget. Furthermore, there was a supplementary passed about 30 billion.
Yeah.
It was passed as a supplementary for the cooperatives.
Yes.
Okay, you are aware of that?
Yes.
So that comes to 40 billion in this financial year. Again, right now there's a supplementary coming for Bunyoro, which the minister was supposed to handle, but time is in my handle today, where I think there is 11 billion, 11 or 13 for Bunyoro Cooperative Union. Now, of the 30 billion supplementary, what is mentioned, TESO, others were paid. TESO Cooperative was allocated 2 billion, but it was never paid. That's where the question is coming. Why was that? Why was that payment?
Yeah.
He comes from.
Yeah, Mr. Chair, I appreciate the Honorable Cooper's concerns. The Honorable Cooper's concerns we appreciate, but when we got response from the ministry, they were telling us that the releases were not made. Budget was allocated, but they didn't get the release from Ministry of Finance. For not only TESO, but I think also even Bunyoro partly, but I think the releases were low.
No, the money was there. I wish the finance really was. I don't know why. The money was good. Why were others? Before even another letter, before Keith Mugabe, towards I think they also issued it and are stopping all the other payments. But this one now, the other one has already taken place where they hold them.
Yes.
Yeah. So what we thought now, maybe what would have happened is now, third quarter of the list, now that finance is here. Can you tell us whether this money which was already paid for cooperative, whether it has been paid in house? And the possibility to know going forward.
What was it? Which page was it? 22.
Fine.
Yeah, because
So I hope the committee is satisfied that this cooperative should be compensated.
yeah, Mr. Chair, when you go to page 22,
Yes.
we are talking of the unfunded priorities,
Okay.
and for them they are delegated like 7.5 billion on some other programs. The committee has recommended that that money should instead be used to compensate the cooperatives if this committee of budget
7
will,
billion.
the 7.5 billion, because for at least we said if they are using it for some kind of promoting what cooperatives, we said why can't they continue the conversation with that money
I don't know whether we will have the right to still follow the monitoring.
But this
Because we also find, I think, some challenges in
Yeah.
managing.
Yeah, we are saying priority should be for compensating the cooperatives.
Chair.
Yes.
Exercise the mandate to try to follow, because some of them are mismanaging compensation. Not mismanagement to just compensation, but also to revive the cooperative.
Yes.
I think you may interest, you also need to interest yourself. Try to follow before you get the website and
Oversight.
yourself oversight. And before you get into that section of money, can we see what you have done?
Yes.
Okay, Mr. Chair.
How was this injection being handled? How is it putting life in the cooperative?
Yes.
Or you inject it, it goes there and it disappears. The lawyers are grabbing some of this money.
Okay, Mr. Chair, the committee will take keen interest.
Yeah, but the principle of compensating the cooperatives as injecting blood in them is very, very,
Very important.
very important.
Yes, thank you, Mr.
Yeah.
Chair.
Proceed.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. The aspiration of Agenda 2030, among other things, is to promote inclusiveness and sustainable industrialization and foster innovation in line with SDG 9, and promote full and productive employment and decent work for all in line with SDG number 8. Aspiration 1 of Agenda 2063 aims at transforming Africa's economies through benefication from Africa's natural resources, manufacturing, industrialization, and value addition. The manufacturing program comprises both 015, that is the Ministry of Trade, Industry and Cooperatives. The Ministry also plays other key roles under the agro-industrialization and the private sector development programs through its agencies. The program for medium-term budget projections, plans and priorities. The manufacturing program has been allocated a total of 52.76 billion, which represents 0.2% of the proposed national resource envelope for financial year 2021-2022, which is reflected on table 3, Mr. Chair. Of course, the source for this is national NBF.
So it has gone down.
Yeah.
Why? manufacturing is one area we want to really to go seriously as by the theme. And so, it as if the budget for it is going down.
The response is there.
Isn't it?
Edson has the response.
We have the response.
If I look at the current financial year, 75 billion, it has gone down to 52. Which one?
The last night.
The 52 billion.
While the wage was expected from the 1.37.667.
Wage should have remained to 1.485.
Yeah, but is that statement correct?
They are saying it's shooting up. Wage is not shooting up.
But
They are saying the wage is expected to shoot up from 1
to 37, is that normal?
25, 26.
There is a problem.
That's in the front there, in the 23, 24 to 25, 26.
We are not interested.
Yeah.
Can the chair of trade correct? Can the chair of trade clarify, please? Huh? Page 13, the last line.
Downloaded this from
While the wage budget, and I'm seeing the wage budget in front of me. I can see 37. So what is going on?
Jumped by about 380%.
Yeah.
Because in the medium term, we say we are going to be manufacturing. But now you're indicating wage is from 1.4, you are shooting it to 37, and at the same time the non-wage, which is operational money, is coming down almost to nothing. So can we understand how manufacturing, are we going to use labor-based manufacturing?
Mr. Chair.
Yes.
The committee also raised that same concern. The ministry.
Yes.
And their response was that their response. Because we are requesting them how does the program intend to achieve this medium-term plan less investment.
Yes. Direct Economic Affairs, you are most welcome.
No, order, Mr. Chairman. Mr. Chairman.
Yes.
The chair of the trade committee that is presenting. And how can the chair tell us that he also raised the same concern? And in other words, he's telling us he was also not convinced. How does he carry something to the budget committee he's not convinced about? Because this is a very serious error. And you are reading it to the budget committee and you want us to take it as it is when you yourself should have interrogated the figure. Huh? It's a serious matter.
On the wrong thing.
First tell us. Honorable Lukon.
And definitely, I see that the sector just removed, carried these figures from the BFP to their report. The authors of the BFP are here. Minister of Finance and Economic Planning and Development is here and planning. Can they tell us about this in the medium term? What is this shoot and fall? Are we going to labor intensive instead of mechanizing without raw materials? What can we understand it from finance and NPA? Because you just carried these figures, your report. The figures are here.
No, I think before chair, before he comes in, I think finance should respond to before you say you are making.
Before finance, The chair who has interrogated.
No, it should be the trade. Should be the chair of trade.
The chair of trade should first give us
But the chair of trade
what their findings are. Chair of trade, the members' concern is we expect to be going to more manufacturing. Like we have been talking of adding value, you say sugar should be made to produce other things, so manufacturing should be growing more. In the last the existing financial year, the running one, they were allocated 75 billion. This current financial year, we are coming to 21-22. It's reducing to 52 billion. Then we go further to find that as we continue in the medium term, we thought more manufacturing should be taking place.
Yes.
But the investment is more on wage. From 1.4, it's growing to 37.6. And yet non-wage is falling. You have created more jobs. But how are these people going to operate with the non-wage? Because non-wage in our ordinary thinking should be operational funds.
Thank you, Mr. Chair.
It's going to, it is now tending in a time T to zero.
Mr. Chair.
What's the magic?
Mr. Chair, thank you for the observation. My committee also made this observation that in a adequate capital budget for the manufacturing program, the committee observed that Uganda's economy is challenged by a manufacturing subsector that is small, uses basic technology, and creates low quality and quantity of gainful jobs. This is due to lack of requisite infrastructure and systems to support manufacturing. It was further noted that the manufacturing systems and the infrastructure are capital intensive and require adequate capital budgets. However, only shillings 4.784 billion has been allocated to capital development in the financial year 2021/22, and that budget is expected to reduce further to shillings 2.6 billion in the medium term, as reflected on the other table 4. Side paltry capital budget allocation may hinder the manufacturing program from achieving its objectives. The committee recommends that the government should capitalize Uganda Development Corporation and the Uganda Development Bank to provide affordable financing to stimulate industrial development and the private
Yes,
sector
message.
No, I don't think we are proceeding because we asked the chair, what in the cause of this figure? Did you investigate it as a committee? Did you raise any objection to this figure? Did you get explanations? This is what we were asking. And unless, Mr. Chair, unless the committee chairperson really explains and answers our question, I don't think we can proceed.
The reality is the sector committee did not go deep in this.
No,
they didn't have the time to make a difference.
But Mr. Chairman.
The Minister of Finance is also.
No, Mr. Chairman, before we go to the ministry, your committee, for example, this budget committee, cannot carry this figure to the floor of Parliament, can you?
No.
Because we are not convinced with it. So why would the trade committee bring to us this document when they were not convinced with it? So I think we are proceeding wrongly, Mr. Chairman. The chair of trade must first clarify to us why the committee decided to bring this figure, which is not properly interrogated, not properly analyzed, not properly understood, and you bring it here as a burden. What do you expect the budget committee to do? You want the budget committee to do your work instead. So, Mr. Chairman, we cannot proceed. You have to tell the trade committee to leave.
We can proceed, colleagues, but now what we need to get clear. These are figures which have already been proven, like finance. So that committee is to make a recommendation that they have already made their recommendation. Now,
There is no specific recommendation.
But
they have recommendation on page what?
On the table.
on page what?
Not on regarding.
Because those are where allocations which finance.
Not regarding.
On what page?
Yeah.
On what page? On what page?
I am looking at the base document, which is the source document, and the figures are just fixed from here. And Chair, yesterday, one of the questions we put to finance, which they are yet to give us answer this afternoon, was how do they arrive at these figures? That was one of the questions. What informs the figures they give sectors or programs? How do they arrive at these figures? That is one of the questions they are supposed to give us today. So, Chair, I think to absolve the trade, is it called?
Yes.
Trade committee,
Trade tourism
and fine or whatever. The issue is not there of their making. The issue is these are arbitrary figures that fixed by Ministry of Finance. And yesterday we asked that question. That was one of the key questions we asked. Yes, I personally am the one who asked that question. How do you arrive? Because we saw the figures were not adding up. How do you arrive at these figures? So I think when finance comes back to answer these questions this afternoon, honourable members, I would urge that is the point at which we take them on.
Yeah.
With reference to now trade, and the chair will be around.
Mr. Chair. Honorable Cecilia.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes.
if we adopt the OO option, it means that your committee has now agreed to accept the error which the trade committee has brought to your committee. But as far as I'm concerned, as a member of your committee, I cannot adopt an error. It is the trade committee who should have interrogated finance, even if it is in this book. Even if it is in this book, the trade committee cannot, as if we don't have brains to analyze. We have brains to analyze. We cannot just adopt the figure.
Procedure. The procedure what I want to raise, the trade committee and the budget committee are all committees of parliament. They help each other. Where the trade committee maybe fails to find maybe a problem in analyzing a situation, and the budget committee can see it, at the end of the day, what we want is to see the budget framework paper passed well.
So finance
Should now get on and see how to guide the parliament.
So, as a guide to the coming budget, we now identify the loopholes and we make recommendations for corrective action. To find, when we go to the floor, we make recommendations what we feel must be done to correct these errors. So when it's approved, the framework goes back to finance and government, whoever, to make those amendments before, as they bring now the other budget, the final budget. So here, trade is caught with a figure which is thrown there. They have interrogated the sector and maybe found out that this figure thrown here are not helping us. There is no science in coming up with these figures, as if finance just walk up and just say throw those ones, this one, to hell with them. So what we are supposed to do here is to ask them, if they are not satisfied with these figures, what do you say we should do?
Why do you put it there?
It's not them who put it, they're already there. So what they are not supposed to do is to tell us what could be the ideal position, so that we now move with that recommendation. But before that, we are also like that finance is with us. So as a committee, we also interrogate finance, can tell us why they arrived at this position, so that what we recommend later is informed by information we get from the two bodies. I think, colleagues, we can...
I think the best way is not to back so much that the Honorable Nicolia said. I think now that we have finance here, not take it long.
Yeah.
You can just give us an explanation.
Yes.
Because we feel the figures are not correct, so we can't take them and just make a recommendation, let it be corrected. Because by the time we take the bill to Parliament, it should be, if it needs correction, it should be corrected. If there was just a typical error, it's corrected and we move on. Otherwise, if you say, Chair, create the answer first, and then we come to finance, it takes a long time. Can finance help us?
Finance, can you give us this picture with your, you call it programmatic or problematic budgeting?
Chair, these numbers for the outliers did be interrogated from 2023, 24 and up to there. Because there's no way the land wage could have reduced from 46 to 80. That's what I also agree. And also the wage from 1.4 to 37. However, the changes between this year's budget and next year's budget are accountable to what we call consumptive items. It's not trade which was cut. There were so many sectors which were affected. And that's why the reduction of land wage goes from 69 to 46.487. But the other medium term will interrogate. But however, I want also to raise this, as the Honorable Cecilia was saying. You see, if you are a program and you keep quiet, you have passed through, we have agreed at cabinet level, we are bringing to Parliament, and you keep quiet.
And you wrote to the sectors.
And you wrote to the sectors, and they are the ones with the PI, the program, implementation action plan.
They continue.
And then they come to Parliament and they say, we are okay with the figures. There must be a problem also.
Also, yes.
So it's not that, yes, we may have made mistakes, but even you, when we are discussing at those levels, you should come out and say, there is this and that and that. I think we should work together. Like now, Parliament, as you are saying, the budget committee will work with the trade committee. With their issues, you balance up at your level. So even at us as at government, before we come here, if we have realized that there is a problem, it is brought to our attention and we address it. There must be a problem different, reducing from 46 to 8 and also the wage.
Mr. Chair, I don't want to interrupt you with my colleague from Ministry of Finance. But before even these mistakes, we collect them from here, you must have a base statistics which you base on. Because statistics give you the real actual of your budgeting. But if you don't have it and you wait that also cabinet has made a mistake, suppose Parliament doesn't scrutinize where you base as the Minister of Finance. You know the whole problem comes from.
Okay, I would like to rule here. We give Committee of Trade and the sector and Minister of Finance by midday tomorrow to bring us what should be the right figures for us to, because this is where we get stuck even to make any recommendation.
Or an explanation.
Whatever, but bring what looks real is we informed. Now proceed.
He has gone away to check on something.
Okay.
Trade. Cooperatives.
Okay.
Chair,
Yes.
the money was released, the balance is 5 billion, which will be released last quarter. 30 billion was released this quarter.
The supplementary.
Yeah, the supplementary.
was released
So
this
it's only 5 billion which is going to be released in the first quarter.
From the budget of the year.
Yes, the supplementary, 30 billion was released
This quarter.
this quarter. Yes, depending on the available resources, because you can't just release money when there is no resource.
It now means, Honorable Elijah, you have answered their question. So the money for Teso Corporation, therefore, is the Minister of Trade.
Yeah.
So yes, it's all released.
Exactly. 5 billion remaining for the next
The 5 billion is for what was budgeted initially. But for because Teso was in supplemental 30, which was free release. So we follow that one.
Shall we make a comment?
But as we're saying, we must also follow the cooperative. Make sure that the money is not abused.
Yeah, because the last report was that they are not now that they have.
We shall have to make a recommendation on the audit of whatever compensations have been done to assess the impact.
Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Yeah.
The approved budget for the program for the program of this way we are. They have approved budget for the program.
Manufacturing.
Yeah, manufacturing.
We have moved from there. We are going to look for the right.
It is 52 million, which is it?
Mr. Chair, the NDP3 recommends that a total of shillings 2,871 million should be allocated to the manufacturing program over a period of 5 years. However, the current MTF projections indicate a deficit of shillings 2,591 billion at the end of the NDP3 for financial year 2021-22. Out of the 481 billion recommended, only shillings 52.78 billion has been allocated to the entire program, which challenges the importance of both the NDP3 and the MTF planning framework. The compliance of the MBFT to the NDP3 as required by the PFMA 2015 is also challenging.
Yeah, so there you have come clear.
We have been
It goes back, it goes back that the allocation is too small.
Yes.
Not matching with NDP3 at all.
Yes, Mr. Chair.
Finance.
What is the MDP saying?
NDP3 was proposing 2.8 billion,
2.871
trillion.
Over 5 years.
Over 5 years.
5 years.
But
so what have you so far got if you added this one of last?
The current MTF projections indicate a deficit of 2,591 billion at the end of the NDP3 for the financial year 2021-22. Out of shillings 481 billion recommended, only shillings 52.78 billion has been allocated to the entire program, which challenges the importance of both the NDP3 and the MTF planning frameworks.
Chair trade.
Yes.
Yeah, you're not clear there. You're talking about the end of. I thought this NDP3 has just come into force. This is going to be the second year. But you're now talking about a deficit at the end of. Yet you're quoting the same NDP3 proposing. So you're not getting clear.
Because we are dealing with the medium term.
The MTech projections.
Yes.
Okay. For the entire period.
Chair, can you proceed?
Yeah. You proceed.
Page 14.
Let me. So.
I think, Chair.
And that's why we are referring to specifically the current financial year 2021-22.
Chair.
Yes.
I think finance should get interested. This is what we said yesterday. As much as you have short, medium term to achieve what you want to get, the financing of the core projects, that's the issue on the NDP3. Where is the money? Because if you don't finance those core projects you are putting up first, Minister of Trade is telling you now, it's NDP3 versus financing. What will happen? There must be a plan what you are going to do. Because if you don't finance your core projects, that means it will be a failure. What is going to happen, Chair? In the budgeting, it's not there. There is no route where you see that these core values, these core projects are aligned with NDP that are going to be in the budget, are going to be financed.
Yeah, before I hand over the chair, but I think your observation is correct. I think finance, this is another area that we need you to come come clean on, because it's a question of alignment.
Yes.
The NDP projection, your MTF projection is not aligned to the NDP projection. So that's another area.
On this one.
On this one, yeah.
The departure is too much.
Too much. The deficit is too big, and we need you to come clean on that one also. Just like the other one, so I can now hand over the chair.
So, you have to explain to us. This is one of the main themes in your budget strategy. Yes.
Chair, yesterday we had a serious meeting with NPA.
Yeah.
One of the biggest issues is that we rush to look at expenditures, but we don't address issues of resource. If the projections for resource are divergent, then it has a very serious effect on the expenditures by the various sectors. And that's an issue, both as a committee and ourselves, we should look at. Do we take NDP for the next 5 years minus COVID? The resources you have put, and you assume COVID never happened.
First stop there. First stop there. First stop there. Now, Mr. Finance, you remember we went into a deep discussion on the envelope forecast, and the NDP was forecasting 49 trillion. In your MTF for the that is a medium, you on 45.
45.
We discussed and we agreed that the NDP 3 was approved before COVID came in, and maybe those are factors which could have adjusted. And we said both figures were right. Whoever projected 49 and now 45 are both right, because even the 45 may not become 45 when we go into the year. It could become less or more. And if magic comes that the effects of COVID now disappear, we may even attain the 49. So, if we are planning on the 45 and the other ones were on 49, which means the variance should be moving towards the same direction. Why does manufacturing have to vary abnormally? And in fact, it's not even related at all.
But information.
Yes.
On the same page, during the discussion, we have put it to NPA that is this DFP a compromise position that you went after the plan to discuss and agree about? He said yes, but the way he was saying the yes was not well known. Didn't look like it. But he said this is the position they and finance have now agreed. What they should, the sector should be advising us as parliament if they change anything.
But I think a question should be clarified.
Yes.
There are two areas which have a problem. One is the difference of 4 trillion. And if want to put 4 trillion in the budget, even if we have agreed as NDP and finance, that 49 is okay and 45 is okay. The 4 trillion, someone has to bear the burden of the cut against the MTF projection. Because the 4 trillion is not money, it is not there. According to what we have projected. That's number one. Number two, you remember, Chair, that table which was given by NDP yesterday. They are assuming that you can cut the works by 100%. You saw it yesterday, which is not practicable. So they are, as much as you look at this table, this issue of manufacturing, if you cannot take those bold decisions which NDP got yesterday, gave us yesterday, then also those sectors will be further affected at high values than the local.
No.
At macro level, there is a problem, but also at micro level, if you assume, because I still have the numbers here, if you assume that you are going to cut between now and March the budget for works from 17.3 from 17.3 to 7.7 and use it to balance other sectors according to NDP projections. I think that's an issue we need to discuss.
Now,
can I come in?
Question first. NDP 3 is your document. You brought it to us and we approved. And like what as you are saying, the NDP 3 had 7.7 trillion, 7.7% of the budget. Now for you, you are bringing it at 17.3%. So was NPA wrong or who is right here? Because
It's not about being right or
so
wrong.
it means
Let me give you an example, Chair. There are roads works ongoing today. There is the issue of SGS and other things ongoing. I hope that let them and say, okay, because we have NDP3, those things should not be terminated one day. Long term projects under the water. Also, my process will add, but that's the practical matter.
Chair, there is a problem. Chair, there is a problem. I think two things. One, this COVID should not be used as an excuse. Because if you look at the planning period for the MTEF and the NDP3, they should be matching. And I think both the forecasts were done before COVID. Both of them. Unless you're setting us to the contrary. Yes. Two, the spirit under which the NPA was talking about prioritization is not what the finance team is now telling us. What these people are saying, that at a stage a government can sit down and make a critical decision to prioritize if in a straight way resources, and the government has done it before. You remember in the early days of the NRM government insisted, and I think I was at Makere, and I think I remember the late Katega came and addressed us on this and said, government has to prioritize and put on hold certain programs to allow others to fast.
no stationary.
Hey. So, consumptive sectors, this has never been done. It is not a new thing which these people are talking about. The spirit is what you used to capture. They were not saying, actually it was just an example. They just gave works as an example. They were saying, you can, for instance, but they did not say that you can't work. It's just an example.
Not to zero.
You can identify some sectors and say, look, just like you've been prioritizing works and energy, you can say now, I think energy and works you have reached a certain level.
That's called health.
Yeah?
That's called health.
And what?
And we moved health.
And we have moved to health. That's what they are saying. And in that you can actually move within the deficit.
Okay, Director Budget, tell us.
Okay, thank you, Chairman. Chairman, you remember this discussion was also, you had it yesterday.
Yeah.
Starting from the difference between what the NDP projects when it comes to financial year and what is projected in the budget. And you recall in the discussion we explained properly. The National Development Plan projection was definitely before COVID. It did not take into account the impact of COVID on the revenue. The projection which is before you in the budget framework paper and in the budget of next year has taken into account all those circumstances, the impact of COVID and all these issues that we have had on the budget. And on account of that, there is a difference of almost 4 trillion Uganda shillings between the plan and the budget. Now that difference of 4 trillion, of course, trickles down even to the sector. So even on account of that alone, there's no way you can have complete harmonization between the program MTF ceilings, and the overall national budget, and the plan, of course, the ceiling which the plan projected. That is point number one. The second point, and which also NPA actually made, is the fact that alignment between the plan and the budget cannot be done overnight. You were here yesterday. Because, if you take the example he's given, if you take a sector like works, which is getting, in the NDP, they projected 7.7%, in the BFP we have 17.3% of the budget. Now the main reason why this transport sector has this program, has this money, is because most of the programs are ongoing. And yesterday we gave an example
carried
of
forward. You have carried forward from NDP
yes, by the way, every single year, UNRWA, on account of overcommitment, it finishes a year with a financing gap of not less than 300 billion for the last 5 years. And this is largely for ongoing road projects. So that's why the alignment cannot just be done as an academic exercise overnight. Because if you terminate a contract for a road, then of course you know the consequences of terminating a contract. You actually, in fact, you are giving the contractors free management. Yes, please.
According to you, it looks like NDP3, the current NDP3, which is of course the NDP. We did not take into consideration the ongoing projects in NDP 2, which were not completed and are still what?
Yes, you see.
As all the taken, because the new project that they wanted to put in the and yesterday we asked here that can it be clearly categorized to us which were the projects in NDP 2 which were not completed and available current or not current.
Okay.
Chairman, can I clarify that?
Chair, procedure.
Wait with the procedure first.
Before the director comes in, I think they should help the country. In NDP 2, there are some projects which we have ongoing as a state. Can't we just before we continue to take other new projects and say these are the core that we should deal with first before we take up new ones which are ongoing? I can tell you, I saw your document yesterday when you are financing the budget. Domestic financing, domestic bond, and Bank of Uganda capitalization. That is the money which you will be submitting every time. But when you capitalize the Bank of Uganda, so this is the money we can use and get this to other programs and stop that one. Because each every year you come back, we have domestic bond, we capitalize Bank of Uganda. Where does that money go? In the budget.
Director budget.
Okay,
it's true, before you come in, it's true there are projects which are ongoing, which were not concluded at NDP 2. But our NDP 3 did a mention of those projects. Now, when we are now operating this NDP 3, I thought those would be first priority, clear them. But now we are also admitting the fact that the NDP 3 did not put them in consideration in costing the allocations. But still, Director Budget, what makes members very, very wondering, when we read your strategy, it's so nice, growth and job creation and so on, growth sectors, so manufacturing comes, what. Now still, much as there is that deficit, the way you now prioritize is what we are questioning.
Yes.
Why are you putting here even more than what was? And then where the growth sector, where we should invest, where we have to generate, why not invest more in where we are going to generate revenue and then go back to others? Like roads, as we are saying. Yes, he's saying, why do you take new roads? Why don't we say, let's postpone this road, like Busole was complaining yesterday. But our problem is when you mention this, another person does it. So that's why we said the trade-off should come in. Let's invest where we generate, so that the money we generate will go back to make those roads. We are talking about SGR, money being put on that one.
Meter gauge. Suspend those ones.
Suspend like SGR. After all,
Even
it's
meter
not
gauge.
going anywhere. Even if you build Uganda, Kenya is now struggling to reach Kisumu, and maybe their priority is to stop there. Why do we allocate money for SGR instead of us allocating? After all, SGR is going to transport imported goods to the market, which is us. The more it's not there, the better, so that the companies which want to sell goods should come and put factories here. So those are the things which are disturbing us. So when you bring here, you are the one who is bringing this thing to here. Strategy is this. Then when we go to allocations, manufacturing is the most affected. When you look at this, yes,
and yet
the money is not there to fit to the ideal, to the maximum. But why does manufacturing, which is supposed to raise us jobs and wealth, why is that one most affected? That's the main question we have.
Okay, thank you, Chairman. I think going back to the point we made yesterday, the program approach to budgeting and planning, which essentially is the discussion here now of aligning the budget to the plan. The coming financial year is the first year of that alignment. We must bear that into account. That is the first year, 21, 22. You know very well, in 2021 we didn't actually do the alignment. In year one of alignment, definitely there are some things you're going to, some give and take that you must do. Because you're not going to have a complete alignment in year one. Our thinking is that, as I said, the alignment is going to be a fairly gradual process. Maybe by the time we reach year 3 and 4, we have a complete alignment. And I gave an example yesterday of the governance program. The assumption that is made in a plan, for example, if you look at governance and security, is that governance and security is going to have 14% of the budget. Yet, in the budget, we have 22.4%. Meaning, to achieve complete alignment on governance and security, you need to cut 8% from the current budget. And then, because that 8% is the money which will go to manufacturing. There is no way you are going to have that alignment unless you undertake some structural reforms. Governance, what does governance entail? The bulk of the money of governance is in public administration, largely in public administration.
Parliament.
Parliament is all right. It is parliament, it is local government institutions, it is
you're telling
government
me what you want to hear.
It is security. So to be able to release 8% of the budget of governance and security, you cannot just, the point I'm making, Mr. Chairman, is that you cannot just make it academically. It must be accompanied by structural reform.
That's true.
Either you restructure the institutions you have, just like the rationalization and restructuring we talked about, and that is actually the one which will help you to reduce that money. But in the short term, you are not going to see that money moving from governance and security to manufacturing. But the intention of the plan is that going forward, okay, to be able to achieve the objectives of the plan, you must undertake certain reforms. But actually,
So how do you want us to help you?
when you look at the plan, there are a number of reforms actually, which they, even yesterday, which they explained, that must be done if we are going to achieve. I think what you need to hold us accountable for is to ensure that we start that process of undertaking those reforms that will free money, okay? Because there are two reforms you need. Number one, we need to increase our revenue, okay? Which we have talked about, using the domestic revenue mobilization strategy. But the increase in revenue must be accompanied by those structural reforms I'm talking about. To ensure that money moves from what you are calling the consumptive areas to the growth areas, the areas which will support growth. But in the immediate, which is now, the options are not very many of freeing money. Because, as I said, are you going to stop a road now in the middle of execution of that road? Because that road is already being implemented. But definitely the action you can take is to stop a new road. Okay? So that yes, you can stop a new road, but you definitely stop it will not make yes, you can stop a new road, you can stop new structures, okay, to ensure that money is actually, by doing that, you will actually be on a clear path of achieving that alignment. Okay, so for me, I think that's what you need to hold government to ensure that going forward, we shall see money moving from those areas to the areas and to ensure that we achieve the alignment. Now,
Kenneth is absolutely right, but the question is, that's the function of the executive.
Yes.
The microphone.
Sorry? What I'm saying is that Kenneth is absolutely right. But what he's saying is that the function of the executive.
Yes.
And the parliament.
Yes.
Okay, and parliament, we have a supportive role in that case.
You are the ones who put the pressure.
Yeah, okay. But now the question is, Minister of Finance is representing the executive. What stops you from doing what
I was coming to that. We have actually started. For example, we have started a process of reviewing projects to see which projects can be renegotiated and actually stopped. Those are which are deemed not to be very critical, supporting the strategy of the NDP. So that process has really started. We have this year, the year under review now, I mean the year which is going, the current financial year. Yes. We undertook a review, and actually the sector should be able to tell you, we saved 800 billion shillings. That money was removed from non-critical activities and actually put on critical activities. So that process is actually ongoing. And actually what we have done, that same review that we undertook, we have carried it forward to the budget of next year to ensure that those areas which are seem to be non-critical, do not actually get these resources. So these resources go to the critical activity.
Yeah, but also some clarification, Director. And if I can come in to the point of both. The President some time back wrote a letter to you as a Minister of Finance to restructure. But whatever bills we've seen in this Parliament, and I remember a bit earlier and the same we refused to create more structural problems in the system, like creating authorities, creating boards. But anything coming from government, it creates another structure. And that's the consultative area that we should look at and cut. In 2003, Parliament came out and said we had a war with the Northern Kingdom. He said, not until we stop that war, let others go. We should use the same method. That no structural problems we have does not generate revenue. I don't see any headway where our system is not improved. You look at the document presented yesterday, the projection of working, you're not achieving 45 trillion. This financial year didn't get it, you didn't correct, and the situation is worsening. Yeah. How do you project now and budgeting, depending on the system, when even the previous year, you are not achieving? Yeah. So go back on the drawing board. Yeah. I advise the government. And please, you can't go anywhere. Remember in 2015, the budgeting support domestic revenue, we had 75%. Today, the external funding is coming to 38%.
Can I, Chairman, through you, Chairman, can I ask, can I raise a small point based on what Honorable is saying? Take the example of the current Parliament, the 10th Parliament. Through the chairman, how many MPs are you? Members of Parliament? Honorable members of Parliament. How many honorable members of Parliament are you expecting in the 11th Parliament? Five. Do you know the financial implications of that? Yes. Over almost 200 billion shillings. That is part of the governance and security program. So if you are telling me, because if you want to make that saving you are talking about, that is the structure, those are the structural reforms I'm telling you. But at the moment Parliament increases, me as Minister of Finance, because I know statutorily, it's a statutory function, it's a statutory report. The moment you sit in Parliament and increase the number of members of Parliament, you create structures, those structures must be funded.
Director, you put it as you don't just sit in Parliament. These things all come again from the executive. They come from local government, they go to the cabinet, from cabinet comes to Parliament. Exactly. And you know my colleagues from the ruling party, they say, must throw the party line. So what I do, so it again goes back to central government.
With the certificate of financial implications.
You are the one who gives the certificate.
In fact, the point is, this people, in fact, when it comes to that, I sympathize with them. The pressures are just piled there. In fact, what we are doing now, we are hitting finance like, what do they say, camel. We are going to keep on wait until one day it will collapse. It is us, the fact is, it's us who put pressure on the thing. We want a city, we want a sub-county, we want a district. Not until we accept it.
Chairperson, they should not blame on. We saw like this issue of the elder. Was it Parliament? From nowhere we saw the things coming. The MPs for the elder. No, it wasn't Parliament. It was not Parliament. But Parliament came now. Come on. What they wrote. No, they asked us support.
Okay, Kano.
Go back seriously.
Yeah.
In this Parliament, I remember we have advised that all countries all over the world, when they are facing such situation, we have always advised on ring fencing. You people, you are the executive. You are the one to guide the country. What are the priorities? You have talking about core and non-core. Have you come out with a list for us to look at and approve? Have you tried to guide the government, you are the technical people, technical ministry of government, that let us now concentrate on certain sectors and others can keep mark timing. You know, in the army we say mark time. The others can wait for these 5 years, we want to concentrate on A, B, C, D. next 5 years, we concentrate on this one, and we can solve this problem. And the other big problem is that maybe we talk about things, we don't implement them. The other day we were talking about restructuring parastatals and boards and authorities. Where has it ended? I can see we are repeating the same stuff. So, Mr. Minister of Finance, you are the one to guide us. Then we shall actually do our work appropriately. Yes.
Finance are tried the regulations have come. They try to say no, there is no money, that should not implement what. The floor sits here and say the PSST should be someone, should be what? Resolutions come, so they just run away, they chicken out. They get defeated.
Formation chair. The decision, the decision. Sorry, Chair. Sorry, Chair. The decision to either create new administrative units or not comes from the executive.
Because if you don't bring it,
and the decisions are made at the cabinet level. Minister of Finance sits in the cabinet. So if they are to reject, they should be doing it at that level. So the question is, why should they pretend that they are reject when at the cabinet they endorse? They endorse it. Now when they come out, they now pretend for us we don't understand. But yet at the cabinet level, the chair, I don't agree that it is finance refusing, because if finance was to refuse, they should have done it at the cabinet level, where this thing comes from. For us here, we receive decisions of cabinet.
Okay. Already
executive.
Already LOC 3 chairman are paid up to today.
I've seen a permanent secretary in Minister of Finance writing about the capital, I mean the expenditure, conservative expenditure. But I have not seen ministers within cabinet, even executive, obeying what the cabinet does. Two, if that is the case, why do you give certificate of financial education and say you are ready to do when you don't have the money? If you don't have the money, nobody will implement the right. And it will not be accepted from the house. So you people, you should help us technically and advise and say there are some things which are impossible to do and they can't be implemented. Because nobody, the president will not go in place and say bring the money.
Chairman, I think like we were saying yesterday, some issues are political decisions at a level where even this technical football.
Yeah.
Because we have seen where we can case, we can say, right, no more creation of this, but within 2 days he has reversed the letter. He has reversed the letter. But also these issues about the
information on that one. Actually, as you talk now, cabinet, the executive is already toying will be creating more constituencies. Yes, even as you talk now,
there are 12.
Creating more constituencies and more administrative units. As we speak now. So this is where the dilemma is. So the issue is not with us. The issue is up there. Even as we talk now, and the finance knows because they are part of the cabinet. They know. That's the point.
Too bad.
So Chairman, can I make one last point?
Yeah.
I think we have definitely taken note of what you are saying. But I think the bottom line for now is let the programs prioritized within the settings they have. Because for financial year 21-22, the room for flexibility is very minimal. So for this coming financial year, the room for flexibility meaning to move money from one program to another program is very minimal. So I think let's hold programs accountable for the limited resources they have. Let them try to prioritize the limited resources they have and ensure that they are financing the core of activities which are spelled out in the plan. Then as we move forward, we do more and more alignment.
Yes. The chair, if the technical commission to guide give guidance to the nation, the country.
No, what,
Guidance have you given?
no. The national development plan is actually the Bible. You see, the national development plan, by the way, the current one, is even different from the previous ones. Because it even prescribes the interventions that ministries should be undertaking. Those interventions are there, are in the book. And that's what actually we are holding now ministries for. So the debate is on ministries. Of course, they want more money. But we are saying, yes, for now, on account of all these issues, the money, the envelope is limited. So what you do, let's look at the priorities which have been spelled out in the plan and focus on those key priorities for now. That's the point we are making.
Clarification here. Clarification. Chair, I was thinking that we have the Ministry of Planning and Economic Development. And that's why we are comfortably discussing this matter, hoping that the Ministry of Planning and Economic Development will give us the solutions to many of the issues we have raised. But I get discouraged when I hear one of the technocrats in that ministry talking about the NDP3, because NDP3 is supervised by that Ministry of Planning and Economic Development, and therefore there's nothing in NDP3 that can be discussed and passed without the ministry having a knowledge the impact of every item mentioned in that NDP3. So I think what we are trying to say is right now, Mr. Chairman, is that we don't have a system in that ministry. We need experts. No, that's a very serious matter. We need experts. We need economists there. We need to identify sectors that can drive growth. We need to come up with mechanism of actions we should take in order to reduce our expenditure, and we spend more resources in productive sectors. Now, I have not seen that come out. So as an economist, I want to see what are your strategies, and then we can go on to the micro details. But right now, I have not been able to see the ministry guiding us and saying we have identified these sectors as the driving sectors for production. Talk about tourism, which is highly productive. Talk about agriculture, highly productive. But even mining and so on. But you find that we are focusing on things which are eating more resources, and we are not putting resources in areas that will give us more. So I think really we need economists, we need experts to have a holder system in the Ministry of Planning. This is not the kind of Ministry of Planning that will put a hand. Not at all.
The experts are there. In fact, the ones we have are the best in the world.
Why are they not working?
But the politicians are interfering, and that's why we shall have to accept. If we don't accept as politicians to the right line,
They say even during the politicians.
the politicians must allow the technocrats guide us, and we follow things properly. So, Chairman, Trade, can you take us to 4.5? Your observations and what you now recommend.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, for your guidance.
And it's good Director Budget is here.
Thank you,
and his team.
4.5 is about the observation and recommendation. Balance of trade position. The committee observed that the Uganda registered trade deficits are international and regional level, amounting to US$ 3,399 million and US$ 217 million respectively, as indicated on table 2. The committee further observed that there are increased non-tariff barriers imposed by East African Community member states. This is against the East African Customs Union Protocol for Economic Integration. On many occasions, Kenya has rejected milk, sugar, poultry products from Uganda, while Uganda continues to accept Kenyan products. This act is against the government strategy of export promotion highlighted in the NDP 3. The committee recommends that government, through the Ministry of Trade, Industry and Cooperatives, should strengthen all institutions along the export value chain, like the Uganda Export Promotion Board and the Uganda National Bureau of Standards, by adequately financing and facilitating them to do their work. The UNBS should ensure that the quality of goods produced in the country meets international standards. Uganda Export Promotion Board should aggressively look for market opportunities in the hitherto unexploited markets like Asia and the Middle East and DR Congo. Inadequate capital budget for the manufacturing program. The committee observed that Uganda's economy is challenged by a manufacturing subsector that is small, uses basic technology, and creates low quality and quantity of gainful jobs. This is due to the lack of requisite infrastructure and systems to support manufacturing. It was further noted that manufacturing systems and infrastructure are capital intensive and require adequate capital budget. However, only 4.784 billion has 4,784 billion has been allocated to capital development in the financial year 2020-21/22, and that budget is expected to reduce further to shillings 2.6 billion in the medium term, as indicated on Table 4. Such paltry capital budget allocations may hinder the manufacturing program from achieving its objectives. The committee recommends that government should capitalize Uganda Development Corporation and the Uganda Development Bank to provide affordable finance to stimulate industrial development and the private sector
How much? You have not
development.
mentioned the money. You just said it, but there is no money you have tried to suggest.
We have not suggested, but the concept.
Expect us to say like that, just like that. So you still tomorrow you have to.
Okay, Mr. Chair.
You have to bring for us something. Yes, sir.
On this recommendation,
Yes.
I don't see them, what you have said, adding value to sugar so it becomes industrial. Adding value to
Okay. Yes.
industrial product. Raw material.
Okay.
Focus on that one.
So please go and add that one and submit tomorrow. Export promotion goes straight to the observed, that paragraph, the last paragraph on page 19.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Chair. The committee observed that while Uganda Export Promotion Board has set a target of increasing the value of exports from the current US dollar $3,450.7 million to US dollars $4,973 million in the medium term, it continues to suffer the annual budget shortfalls. In the current budget, Uganda Export Promotion Board requires shilling 13.8 billion. However, only shilling 3.7 billion has been provided, having reduced by 2.08 billion from the shillings 5.8 billion, leaving a deficit of about 10.1 billion. The committee recommends that government should avail shillings 10.1 billion to the Uganda Export Promotions Board to enable it perform its duty under the government strategy of import substitution and export promotion.
What are the things which are activities which are underfunded there by 10 billion?
Marketing and promotion, Mr. Chair, we have indicated it in the subsequent pages on the unfunded priorities. We have them attached behind this report.
Page what? Page what?
Is that report for unfunded priorities?
Director budget. I think you are getting this. These people say they are getting only 3, yet they need 13.
13, yes.
Export promotion. Export promotion. Export promotion is under trade. Okay. They have been giving them money.
It's unfunded, no?
Free zone, what, is it, it's the same. That's not an export promotion. So they are just marketing.
Yes.
Marketing and promotion.
3.7 billion. So,
Why wouldn't you have been maintaining original figure of 5?
Which page am I? No, where are we reading?
consumptive travel abroad and
Travels have been
How do you
frozen.
market without traveling?
You can't market without traveling.
Yeah.
No, you can't.
You can, but
Even that has a cost.
You can do it electronically.
You can't without traveling.
That has a cost you have to do on CNN, or Premier, like Rwanda is doing. It's a lot of money.
The county is doing without traveling. I mean,
But that's mostly in,
Now, what was these areas which were cut off to reduce from the original 5.8? Maybe we need to understand. Did they tell you what are those items? Was it just travel or workshop? What was it?
yeah, these are the consumptive items.
Yeah.
We have the list of all
And that's what I'm saying.
Mr. Chair,
Then we are talking about that. For me, I was just thinking about maintaining it and see how to
Yeah, but
allocate it to the figures.
the argument
they
is
can't maintain
they can't maintain because there are some activities
that have been frozen.
which are being frozen.
That's what I was asking from the committee, just to confirm.
yeah, these are the items. The committee observed that the first budget call circular communicated a reduction in budget for consumptive items, for instance, travel abroad, advertisement, public relations across the board. The action in discriminatively victimize some institutions that are mandated by law to carry the promotional activities, whether abroad or locally. The chart of accounts is not flexible to promotional institutions and exposes them to budget cuts.
And you see, that's what I'm saying. Because that is how you promote
Yes.
export through advertising.
Yes.
Yeah,
What is the
we are
level?
not traveling.
Why should they even have a 3
Why should we
billion?
give them a
It should be zero.
So,
Yeah, it should
yeah.
be zero.
So,
That's how you do promotion.
and-
That's what I
The
say,
idea is
export
you have
promotion.
cut off what?
and
Advertising,
yes,
Yeah.
travel abroad,
yes,
and what else?
public relations,
Public relations. So
Both
what-
local
what
and
are they
international.
What are they going to do? Because that's the work of export promotion.
yes. So now,
That's their work. That's their core business.
and our recommendation, Mr. Chair, our recommendation is that the Minister of Finance should design a chart of accounts in reference to the laws that establish.
Accounts again.
You don't mix each other for account with that.
Chart of
How does it come in? How does it come in?
Marketing, so that it can.
So, Chairman, I just need to answer because if it's export promotion, that is what a promotion entails. Advertising,
Well, did you
publications,
scale down
No,
or?
you see what, Mr. Chairman, what the government did is here, on account of the situation we are in.
Yes,
Because we all know there's no travel problem.
we limit it
We
completely.
have
Just limit it, yeah.
seminars and workshops. Now, so we targeted those items, which were which were due to be consumption. And of course, the direct promotion was unfortunately don't suffer the same, on account of that. So what we can do as we conclude, of course, the recommendations of Parliament, we can have to review which of these items now are very critical going forward.
Yeah.
For the next financial
So
year.
you
And see what can be restored.
Kenneth, can I ask, can I get a clarification? Kenneth, you know, Honorable Hati is a technocratic politician. He's a technocrat, but a smart politician. The last time I remember, he was assuring us that if you don't worry, these figures we shall review it and raise the figures. Is it the same position now that there is a possibility that as the country is recovering, by the time this will come back with the policy, by the time you present the budget, the budget may reflect some
better
optimism in the economy, and we may see better figures that may cover up these shortfalls we are seeing.
We are going to take a review of the budget between now and April.
Yes.
April first,
March,
first April, when we present the details. Now, some some of these items, because we have seen some institutions, because of the nature of their mandate,
Yes.
their interventions are consumptive in nature. So those are actually have to be reviewed and see what can be restored. Of course, within the constraints we have.
Yeah.
Now, we're also hoping that as we move forward, maybe the situation will also improve.
Yeah.
Maybe trouble with that, will pick up again.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because-
like this one, we have to admit that what is provided will first start them. They can move because the strategies of marketing use have changed according to the situation. There are some opportunities which have come in.
By how much?
Some new methods have come in with COVID. So as long as you don't cut off internet.
So the thing I wanted to look at
that let them review that.
Okay. Okay, Mr. Chair.
Before Chair comes in, because some of this review may actually have a negative impact on the economy, because you must understand, for instance, the leisure industry may constrict because of some of the measures and may actually affect the growth of the economy. So we need to review to look at also the impact it might have on some sectors of the economy, like the industry, which is very big.
Okay.
Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Next.
Mr. Chair, the Lake Katwe is one of the issues that the committee has more serious concerns, Mr. Chair. In the restoration of Katwe's salt factory, the committee observed that the NDP3 plans to fast-track completion of the Katwe salt factory project as one of the minor development interventions in the medium term. The Uganda Development Corporation has invested over shillings 1.168 billion to restore Katwe salt factory since financial 2018-19 to date, in line with the government's strategy of import substitution. The committee was, however, informed that the exploration license was issued to a private investor or speculators, despite the existing government investment, which constrained UDC plans to restore the salt factory. Mr. Chair, the committee recommends that the Minister of Trade, Industry and Cooperatives should present to the House a statement about how the Department of Geological Mines and Surveys in the Ministry of Energy and Mineral Development issued the exploration license for Katwe salt to a private company, yet Uganda Development Corporation applied for the license earlier. The statement should be issued within a week after presentation of the report of the Committee on Budget on the National Budget Framework paper before the sectoral committee can take further action.
So what's the problem here?
Because, Mr. Chair,
we want Katwe to be put
to be managed by.
Already invested.
Yes.
Yeah. Is it now functioning?
It was not complete, but now UDC cannot go ahead because they are not having the license.
They don't have a
the
license.
Ministry gave a license to a private investor.
You need to call them or you need to ask them to.
I think Chairman said
Members, what do you do?
I think there's a lot that needs to be provided by the ministry. I don't know what responses they gave to you, because one of you first will know what level have they reached with the money they gave. One was the one.
Yes. Yes.
What level? What level? I was in Lake Katwe December 2019, but it's still so a ghost situation.
But have you left this money in the base for Lake Katwe? The 1.1 which was provided last year. So you have left it in the base. Okay, now leaving that money in the base for something which is now privately licensed, where does it leave us?
No, first, I don't know what the Minister of Trade explained. And I invited the committee directly with trade. But you see, when money remains on the base, because I said yesterday, most of these program administrations are underfunded.
Yeah.
If you undertake an intervention with this year, and the money remains in the base, it does not necessarily mean that you want to keep that money to that intervention. You are supposed now to allocate it to the priority within program.
Yeah, but you may, first of all, I think, Chair, how much did they estimate would put Lake Katwe into production? If one was 1 billion point something was provided, how much do they need so that if they have used 1 billion to start whatever development, then we leave 1 billion the following year. Does it end? The 1 billion is supposed to have completed the work.
Chairperson, I don't know whether that will be asking too much. For my idea that before it goes to the House, if it is possible, tomorrow the minister should be here. Together to create even somebody from energy government.
Yes.
You know, this one is going to say for next year. What is a import substitution?
Yes.
Import substitution. It's going to create employment. It's going to create forests. This is where money should be put in. Where that's why you should be putting money. It's a very critical area. So, if that...
Where are we getting salt we are eating now from?
Imports. Yes. Imports.
Unless we have
the mineral resource here.
This is the matter which you...
It is a very serious matter.
Yeah, it is a serious matter.
If that can be communicated tomorrow.
Can we assume that people from finance are the ones importing salt that they don't want to?
No, Chair.
And this issue of licenses anyhow.
No, Chair, there seems to be a problem. There seems to be a problem in the Ministry of Mine.
Mineral development, energy.
Of energy. Because apparently that Lekatu was placed under UDC. But the Ministry of Energy revoked the license of UDC and gave to a company, which I saw the minister was talking about.
And what's the company?
Rwenzori Shining Star Limited. Rwenzori Shining Star Limited. Now, the government believes, according to government, the same government, UDC claims that the license was issued to this company in error. But the minister seems to be stuck and insisting that it is the company that should run the Lekatu Salt project. So as we speak now, there's a problem that must be sorted out by Ministry of Energy.
So where did our money go?
So this money should not be allocated because right now...
Before you talk of allocation, where did the other money go, the 1.16?
That's where the question should be. Where did that money go?
So go and trace that money first before we make...
Because the private company... That's what gets the money.
To say, still much as that is there. Private company or not, is it going to be a PPP? Then how much investment must we make to have Katwe?
They are now inviting UDC for PPP.
Themselves.
Yes. Because no.
So tomorrow you want us to have who?
Yeah.
Minister of Energy. The mineral department.
Bring Opedi here.
And trade also.
Mining minister.
Yes, and trade.
Clark, take note.
Minister for mining.
Katwe.
And
UDC.
And UDC.
Yeah, UDC already we said they should come.
Because chairperson, information we are getting.
And information members also, the Minister of Finance has been delayed by the activity which has delayed to take off in State House. So we have agreed he will be here 9 o'clock tomorrow. Yeah, he has confirmed he will be here 9 o'clock tomorrow with also the directors. By the way, I think you are aware Director Economic Affairs is here. He's the one who is capitalizing Bank of Uganda every week. So he will tell us. Okay.
Chair, on this issue of graduation. Yeah. The information I have, some scriptures, politicians and businessmen are the ones who push for the company. Now they are both stuck. They are moving, they say UDC should partner with them on PPP. They are pushing towards UDC. That is the information, and by tomorrow we meet, we want all those things here. We can't allow us to craft a type of arrangement. That's how we fail.
Okay.
Mr. Chairman,
We can allow, colleagues, hold on.
This is a professional.
You will come. He will come on that one, but we want the Minister of Finance will be here tomorrow. So the directors from Finance can take leave to prepare for tomorrow. There are questions we ask, which they will come with the Minister. So you can also find out for us that money for Katwe, where did it go? So that tomorrow we wrap up that whole thing with this information. So, Honorable Muteli, continue.
Mr. Chairman, as we explore this issue of license,
yes,
that capitalism, we need to appreciate what an exploration license entails.
You started by exploiting exploration, then mining.
Sanitary license given to a company.
Order, John.
To establish the potential,
yes,
of that particular resource.
This member is giving us very vital information. Come again.
An exploration license, sanitary license given to any company to explore the potential of a particular resource. And it can be discarded at any single time should that company fail to find facts that are helpful in developing that resource.
Yes.
So bearing that in mind, if this company is found to be suspicious, as it is,
and dubious,
instead of partnering with UBC, that license can be discarded. Therefore, as a matter of guidance, it should be captured and made as a recommendation that if at all this company is found to be incompetent, then that license should be discarded right away and given to UBC, which is a government entity, to explore this research further.
Okay.
But clarification. Honorable, I'm seeing here there is a prospecting license and the exploration license and what they call a valid mineral rights. Can you separate the three?
Yes. The prospecting license is the first one which is got almost at zero cost.
Okay, let's say that.
Give you an opportunity.
Colleagues, let's agree we discuss Katwe matters tomorrow when
Yes.
we are here and we resolve. Okay?
Thank you, Mr. Chair.
So you can go to Sugar Board.
Yes. Thank you, Mr. Chair. Mr. Chair, establishment of the National Sugar Board and its operations. The committee observed that Parliament passed the Sugar Bill 2017, which sought to establish a sugar board among its other provisions. Government issued a certificate of financial implication as per the requirement of Section 76 of the Public Finance Management Act 2015, amounting to shillings 80.1 million. The current MTF does not provide shillings 2 billion required to establish the board. Yet government committed itself that it was fully provided for the board.
The board is formed by what? Act of Parliament?
Yes.
Was it already, the Act of Parliament is there?
Yes.
Forming the board?
When it passed the sugar bill.
I think it's clear.
Yeah,
they should provide the 2 billion.
The committee's recommendation that the government should fund the sugar board
So
as
should
committed.
mention the money here. Should have said
2 billion.
urgently provided. In your recommendation, recommend that 2 billion be provided.
Take note.
Don't you want to say it's the budget committee which insisted on the money for you didn't want
We
to.
take the guidance, Mr. Chair.
So you can correct.
They are 80 million.
No, that was the certificate of certificate of financial implication. But 2 billion was for forming for creating a board.
2 billion.
Yes.
So we are capturing that. We are recommending 2 billion be provided for the board and the board be put in place urgently. You see,
Because you are a
sugar,
program already.
sugar has a lot of,
Yes.
and the sugar is an area we can earn.
Okay.
We can earn. So,
Urgent attention.
Yes.
so there is not even a CEO, nothing.
There is nothing. So the next page.
We can put people like Honorable Stiano there.
Yeah.
To be chairman.
Sugar board.
Not import sugar. So you have made your report.
Okay.
So that we have on our file.
Okay, Mr.
So
Chair.
that you don't deny us another day.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Chair. So
Okay, next.
The next, Mr. Chair, is about the unfunded priorities,
On
which
manufacturing.
and the cooperatives, all these totaling to 52.756 billion. So we have here industrial and the technical development.
These cooperatives.
We have cooperatives
Industrial
development.
You want that money for all this?
Yes.
Let's understand your table. Because your table is listing 14 things, then you put there 33.7 billion.
What do you mean by upgrading industries?
Now you have said construct one fully service industrial park per region. Then you are bringing enforce laws on counterfeit poor, enact enforce local counter. Then all that 14th you are putting 33 billion. How do you defend it? I wish you broke down, you costed each of these.
Now, this local content law is at what level? It is the president determined.
Yeah, he didn't assign.
Enhance UNBS. So, is it possible, colleagues, I would like to request the committee to go back and distribute that 33 billion to each of these, so that we know what do you want to give to NBS and for what.
But also, Chair.
What do you want to, how much are you talking constructing a full industrial park in each region?
How much does it cost for each industrial park?
Each, yes. Other than you bring us 33 billion and we go with this
Because this is not enough for industrial park.
items. So we shall be saying nothing also.
And even 9 here, like 9, what are these, what are these?
200 aggregation.
These drying and processing forward, coffee or what? And if it is coffee, then why don't you go to the
And you are
processing?
saying you need 80 training and common facility centers to be established. How much does that take?
We shall get the details,
Okay.
Mr. Chair.
Next, cooperative development, you are saying? Yes.
I also wanted to find
9,
where is being that?
11.
Number 6 of table 9, which was the moved by Kano as an environmental solution to the problem we have.
Yes, value addition.
It actually be considered as a priority among these as well.
Yes.
And we might more money allocated to it for our consideration.
Yeah.
Okay, Mr. Chair.
And also mention somewhere Atiaka Sugar should be provided money for how to grow us.
Attack is under.
And mechanization, wherever it should fall. Yes, but it's under agriculture. NADS, eh?
It is coming, you see now when
And it's mechanization also. Okay.
The other side. Yeah, actually, even I'm seeing
Okay.
this 9, 11 will go to the
We
other
shall
side.
now align that, but let them post them. Then we shall now align it when they are do that. Cooperative development, you are saying 70 billion.
That's total.
National cooperative policy, dissemination of reviewed cooperative regulations. This is just storytelling.
Yeah.
Why don't you talk of injecting money in the cooperatives like compensation?
Yeah, finish the compensation.
Finish the compensation. Suggest some good amount of money for compensation.
For completing the compensation.
Yes.
What
Suggest
they
at
have
least this year with like 50 billion.
Okay.
Because they started compensating. Now the question is in the base, there is little money.
Okay, Mr.
As the
Chair.
10 billion remain in the base,
10 billion.
Clark, the 10 billion which is in the budget this financial year, has it remained or it has been swept away?
It is in
The one they say they have released and remained with the 5 billion. Is it still there?
Yes, sir.
So you just say that one is small, you raise it. You propose it, raising that one. Yes, sir.
We look at number 8.
Number
8.
Visited the studies for agricultural vegetation.
Must have
In this country, we study about.
Studies again.
Studies again.
We need to study about silos. I remember that financial year, we recommended the Minister for Harvard, I want to establish silos in every area. So what other studies do we need?
So that one should go out.
The agriculture thing.
That money should go to establish more silos and more.
So suggest their cooperatives, you remove that one. General administration and policy planning, 11 billion for this administration, what is that? Doing this trips that one.
Even that processing infrastructure equipment, is it processing or procurement? On 8 processing infrastructure equipment.
So you're going to try to do more work on that table.
Okay. It seems
I think all of that table needs some.
So next, number 5, overview of what?
Overview of the tourism sector and the budget.
Overview is okay. Yes, tourism.
I was looking at the number 13.
Number 13 and
the same page, table 9.
yes, capacity of UNBS.
There's the enhanced capacity of UNBS to but again, at the end of that table, there is a comment by the committee. The committee notes that the final products are low quality, yet they are expensive price, where UNBS develops standards that are not adhered to and enforcement is needed. So it makes the whole thing.
Every year, UNBS has been crying for money.
Yes.
In this financial year, was there any increase? And they had very serious issues because I very much we are going to talk of raising money from manufacturing and so on. Their standards must be correct. No market can buy our things when they are not.
Yeah, they have been complaining
what one was raising is just a contradiction because apparently what one was raising, UNBS has the capacity. What is not there is the enforcement. No, but that's what they are saying. That's what she's saying in their own report here.
Wait. The gist of the matter is we need goods of standard which are acceptable. Now, it's UNBS supposed to help us. The question is, has UNBS been equipped? If I don't know what I'm saying there. Is UNBS well equipped to perform the duty? Because in export standards are massive. So if they are not well equipped, because I have heard one time when they try to call even the budget committee and the sector, they try to explain really what they need. I don't have memory, were they really supported or not?
After recruiting, they need money to move around.
We went for radios, which
I know.
Radios, which they said they are manufactured.
It was substandard.
Totally substandard.
Go down there, you look at some which I imported.
So what do we do with the UNBS?
Yeah, Mr. Chair, UNBS.
Is it under your sector?
Yes.
So why don't you have some statement about a statement
this is the idea
about UNBS?
For establishing standards.
The way you put it, sugar.
Mr. Chairman.
Yes.
I have some information regarding the duplication of services.
Yes.
Standards. When we are appropriating money through the supplementary, there is some money which was sent to research institutions.
That's what was that?
Yes. And this money which went there was utilized for quality standards provision facilities. Instead of taking the money to appropriate institution. And
I think that money was for research.
That was research.
But
Mr. Chair, let me tell you now.
But not that one.
Are you aware that it is you that is certifying the Ugandan made masks?
Well,
in terms of standards?
It is true. It is true. Even for instance, let me qualify your statement. The other one you made was wrong, but you're also right. In that, for instance, Uganda
That is accreditation.
Yes,
He's talking about accreditation. The bill is ready, but it hasn't been. You remember, accreditation of products. The bill is ready. Processing.
Those standards, it's right.
Yeah.
That's a part of internal control, quality assurance within the entity. But the overall issue now, a regulator who should enforce the standards up to date with the external whatever is here in BS. Even for us in Parliament here, we can have our standard quality assurance. Every institution must have an internal quality assurance. Now when UNBS should inspect even this one, must have a higher capacity to check whether the internal quality assurance is right. So UNBS must be supreme, is a supreme. Isn't it?
Yeah, Mr. Chair.
Budget committee and the second committee.
Yes.
They are to show us. They are supposed to show us.
The accreditation for computers is right.
As the regulator.
But they need somebody
but it is ready, hasn't been processed. That's why NDA goes to
They did show us the
certify its
lab.
products.
And they did tell us they have the suits. Actually, they are starting out to become a center of excellence. They almost established. If we cannot equip them, can we understand what is needed?
Yes.
Mr. Chair,
Right now. So that we incorporate it here and fight for it. So we're all there.
through you, Mr.
That's what they were creating for.
Through you, Honorable Chair. Of course, the UNBS have shortage in, first of all, human resource, because if they have to cover the areas that they have to cover, and then also sometimes transport. You remember there was
Chair,
even...
now what we request of you to cut the story short. Tomorrow we need a page about UNBS and the cost, what they have, what they need, and then we see how to move on.
Okay, Mr. Chair.
That's the best thing we can do.
Okay, Mr. Chair.
Call them and sit with them tonight or...
Okay.
Yeah.
Do that.
Because we can't export without standards.
Yeah, the problem in this country, we make overlapping laws. For instance, no coffee can be exported without the certification seal of UCDA. That one it will never be accepted anywhere. You are talking about milk. Milk must have a certification seal of the Dairy Authority. So this is where there is an overlap. Now apparently, Minister of UNBS is actually supposed to check the quality of goods, for instance, coming into the country. Because that there is no another body mandated with that other than UNBS. And then commodities that are produced for our consumption here. That's the exact areas where UNBS is supposed to play the monopoly role. No another body has that.
Yes.
Which UNBS is not doing. So that's what members are saying. That for the role which UNBS, people know the other where they are other, because we can't pass these laws here. And we mandate to create these authority powers. Though we do it unknowingly sometimes. So what we need to do is, what is UN supposed to do? It's supposed to ensure that any commodity that comes into our country is safe for our consumption here. Then also goods
Even once
produced
we
here,
produce,
Yeah, that is what
conform to specified.
for external whatever. Okay, you have said the point. But you have to know, the other two are isolated cases.
Yes, those are isolated cases, yeah. They have their own.
We have to export many things. Yeah,
It's true.
we must export meat, we must export pork, fish, all those standards.
Yeah.
So do that.
Okay, Mr.
So
Chair.
can we go to tourism?
Overview of the tourism sector and the
Overview of the
performance.
budget. Okay, let's move to issues, your observations. 5.2.
5.2.
Yeah.
Wait, 5.2. 5.2 is behind.
Pardon?
Wait, that's 5.2.
Yeah, that's why.
Wait, that's 5.2.
Yeah, we are about to.
Wait, it's 5.2.
There is no lunch today, so we shall finish with the tourism. Let's go straight to 5.3.
Okay, Mr. Chair.
And the observations and recommendations, then matters arising will come.
Mr. Chair, observations and recommendations. Inconsistencies between the MTF and
a vulnerable economy.
Inconsistency between the MTF and the NDP3 recommended allocations. The committee observed that the NDP3 recommended that a total of shillings 3,609 billion to be allocated to the tourism development over a period of 5 years. However, the current MTF projections indicate a deficit of shillings 2,663 billion by the end of the NDP3 period. In the financial year 2021-22, the NDP3 recommended budget is shillings 614 billion. However, only 197.45 billion has been allocated to the entire program, which challenges the importance of both the NDP3 and the MTF planning frameworks. The compliance of the National Budget Framework Paper to the NDP3 as required by the Public Finance Management Act 2015 is also challenging. The committee recommends that NDP3 medium-term costing should be reviewed in relation to trends of government fiscal framework to make it more realistic to avoid implementation and compliance challenges. Vote status for Uganda Wildlife Authority.
Jump that one.
I can jump that one. You are guidance, Mr. Chair. Then tourism infrastructure.
Deal with the votes.
Tourism infrastructure. I can go just to the recommendation. The committee recommend that the government should fast track the implementation of the tourism infrastructure projects to stimulate recovery of the tourism sector from COVID-19. Uganda Tourism Board, the committee recommends that the government should restore the UTP budget to its original position to enable it to carry out promotion.
How much? You state the amount. What's the original thing?
It is actually the committee observed that the budget for Uganda Tourism Board is expected to reduce by shillings 9.14 billion from shillings 26.85 billion to 17.71 billion. The reduction of the UDP budget is likely to affect the post-COVID-19 promotion activities and other efforts geared towards revitalizing the tourism development program. So I think we recommend that the original feedback.
You know the items which cause the reduction.
Yes.
Those consumptive ones, like
yes.
Fava.
Yeah. So we should bring the figure.
We expect
the
Fava
figure
abroad to scale down.
Okay. Okay.
So it seems they are not very bad.
No, you see, we are not saying that scaling down. By the way, as now, because the travel has started going up, it is not coming down again.
Yeah, it is going up.
The base, now it is starting moving up. By end of March, by April, most people would have got vaccines. You will see the trouble going up. It will not come down again unless something comes, yes, 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 something comes, yes.